So, welcome to the show. Whether you're watching this on Instagram or YouTube or who knows where this is going to pop up, but we're going to do a deal review today. I'm RJ Pepino, and across the screen is Dave Payerchin.
Hello, hello.
We are going over a deal that could potentially be a rental. Um, I'm going to share my screen and start kind of plugging in some numbers here. We got our deal calculator. I'm going to pull up pictures. So we use a system or a CRM, whatever you want to call it, project management tool actually called Monday. We just started using this platform to put all of our properties that we're looking to buy, sell, and we're also tracking rehabs from it. And it's working out so far. So the deal that we have in front of us today is 1418 Westfall Avenue. Nice home in the east side of Columbus. We love this zip code, 43227. I would consider this neighborhood to be right before you get to the suburb. So the closest suburb to this is Bexley and Reynoldsburg. And so we're right in the path of progress, which is good because this area we've seen some appreciation in this area. And we're getting this property for 110. I remember getting properties in this area for $40,000 and $50,000 back in 2012 and 13 and 14 and 15. So seeing tremendous upside in this neighborhood. Our acquisition manager is seeing an ARV of 175, and then our operations manager, that's what the OM stands for, is seeing this at 170. Projected rent, right? So we always look at what the property is worth, the ARV, the property can potentially rent for, which is close to about $1,200. We're seeing $1,195 here. We can talk about that strategy here in a little bit, but I just want you guys to focus on what we're going to be purchasing the property for, which is 110. Our rehab estimate is about 20,000, and an ARV 175. More of a conservative ARV is 170. Dave, do you have anything to add?
Well, I got it pulled up on Zillow, and Zillow is actually pretty accurate. What did you say for the rent estimate there, RJ?
So I have a rent estimate of 1195.
Okay, that's what Zillow shows as well. And then Zillow's got this thing at 150, so it's always good immediately. Like RJ said, where my mind goes when we're looking at deals is, okay, what are we getting it for? What's the rent? You know, and then kind of what's the zip code? We know this area, as RJ said, but then immediately I look at the ARV and I start plugging in the number. What's 75% of that number? Because we want to be all in to a deal, 75% of the value. And the reason we're not just pulling this number out of a hat, we're not just making things up here. The bank, because what we're going to want to do is buy this property with private money, rehab the property, and then refinance the property. And after it's fixed up and acquired with the private money, and we go to this refi, the bank is only going to give us 75% of the value. So immediately I'm plugging numbers to see, are we going to be able to pull out any tax-free money on the refi? And at the very least, are we going to be able to pay back our private lender and not have to come out of pocket? So Zillow's got this thing at 150, and
so what I got a question. So, and probably the listeners are gonna wonder is, do we use Zillow for more accurate comps, or do we look at it as from a glance?
From a glance. So, the rent comps are actually pretty good for from Zillow. Also, we use Rentometer, as I know you share with a lot of listeners, and I think the MLS. We do have real estate licenses in our company, so we have access to the MLS, and that's the most accurate comparables. And it's crazy right now. I mean, I'm looking at comps every single day, and things are moving right now. Like the market, I'm not surprised that our operations manager and acquisitions manager is seeing, higher than the Zillow amount because that's just what's going on in the market. Those are real numbers, and the MLS is the best.
And if you guys don't have access to the MLS, we have, you can get access to MLS comps through PropStream. And right here, I have it pulled up. If you want to get PropStream, we have, there's a link that's going to be on this video. And if you click on it, you'll get a 7-day free trial. But this is how ours looks like. And it's from our good buddy James, but him and a ton of other investors use PropStream if you don't have MLS access. So I'm going to put this into here as well so that we can take a good hard look at what's going on in this pocket. Here we go. So it's going to show us comparable sales at a glance. And so PropStream has this thing come up as the average comps of 121. So we're seeing lower comps, but it's okay. So the estimated value actually is showing that it's 142. Zillow is saying 150. And then I'm going to go in here and hit details. And then right here. So it's right in front of us, comparable listings. And the good thing about PropStream is it takes what's sold on the public record outside of the MLS, because there's a lot more transactions that happen off record than they are on the MLS. So we can analyze both. And that's the beauty of PropStream, is it takes both analytics. They have figured out a way to find out what's sold on the county auditor site and then also on the MLS. So as you can see, this is what we're looking at. I'm going to make it here relevant to what ours looks like. And we've got what looks like we have a 1.5, 3-bedroom, 1.5.
1.5, 1153 square feet.
And
do we have a garage? We always ask immediately, do we got a garage, right?
Right. And so the good thing about PropStream is that it'll have the sources of this also on the property details. So if you look at the property details, they'll tell you if there is an exterior garage type or an attached garage. So we've got an attached garage. It's just saying attached garage. And then we could probably look at the pictures by clicking on the home here. Let's see what it pulls up. Okay, so it just has an aerial view, but the good thing about having access to all these tools, our auditor's site actually here in Columbus is actually very useful. It can give you a photo of the front, and you can do an aerial. We've got a 1-car garage, and I'm going to do an aerial. Sometimes they will build an exterior garage too. So let's see what we have. This is all the same stuff that the process of how we look at homes. I like the fact that it's on a corner lot. That's good. So there's this additional space here. So we've got a one-car garage. It's good. And I'm going to X out of this. And I'm going to go back to our deal calculator. Where's our deal calculator? All right. So we're thinking, so let's get clear on this ARV real quick.
Yeah, so I got the MLS pulled up. If I can take the screen share,
yeah,
then
I'm pretty sure you can. Let me
show you. You got to stop sharing.
All right. Oh, multiple people. All right, I just turned that on. Go ahead.
Okay. So when we're running comps on the MLS, what we have always done, and actually RJ showed me how to do it this way years ago, and I've never gotten away from it. I punch in the address and pinpoint, that's what this little thumbtack is. And then instead of doing like a half-mile radius search or a quarter-mile radius search, I just draw a box around the immediate neighborhood. So here's our target property where the thumbtack is. And you can see I just went up this main road here, down this main road, and then this is kind of where the subdivision stops, right? So these comps that we're going to look at here are very accurate. And what I'm going to do is, I want to see everything active, pending, and sold. It's immediately by default going to go to sold within the last 12 months. And then I want to look at apples to apples. So we're going 3 bedrooms, we're going 1 bath, And
1.5. Yeah, put in the half right there.
I'm gonna put. I want to see the 3 ones that have a half bath and the ones that don't. We do, so that's just an added bonus. But maybe there's some good comps of stuff that. Well, there's plenty of research results, 39. So I'm actually going to be a little more detailed. Just only look at half baths there. 13, and then I mean, if we really want to hammer down, we can go garage. Let's look at the 1-car garages. See how many. I'm always looking at this little number here, the results. There's only 3. So what we're going to do is let's look at everything that has 0 to 1, but I don't want to look at stuff that has 2-car garages because that's not apples to apples. So let's see what happens here. 6. There's 6 search. That's a good number. So you can see these are all, the blue ones are all things that are sold within the last 12 months, very comparable to our property. And the green one is an active property. So let's see what the MLS is going on here. This is probably, so here you go. Look at this guy, 165. This is 150, but I don't look at this as a very good comp because the structure is different. The style is different, right? This has got the peak. And we don't, we're like a ranch style. Mm-hmm. But look at this one, 154, 165. Here's 135, a lane. We have properties on a lane, RJ. Here's another one right on the same street for 137. So what I want to do next is just kind of look at why did this thing sell for 137? We're like at a glance, this is how I just comp things out. Like, hang on, what happened here? 3, 1.5. It's like just like our house. So I just like to read real quick, and then I go to the photos. You know, pretty decent little house. And then I go to the top of the market, 165.9. I'm a little surprised by these comps of our guys coming in at 170. I think that's pushing it a little bit, just for if we're going real detailed. I would price this thing right about 155.
So let's look at what they pulled up. I'm going to pull up their CMA.
Yeah.
Because that's part of their, part of their process is they pull up their CMA, and this is kind of what Dave and I do pretty much all day is look at deals.
Look at deals.
It's fun. You know, love doing this. So here's what they came up with. I'm gonna grab the screen real quick, and then we'll go back to you.
I stop sharing.
Is that they have a comp here of 4197 Colby, and it sold in August for 175. So let's pull that up on your. Well, I got the MLS too, so let me. 4197 Colby. And I also got pulled up PropStream to see if that even showed up here, because a lot of our reps just use PropStream. Okay, so it's not up. No, that's when it's a different one. Okay. So I probably got to log in here. Give me a second. $4197 Colby. Here we go. Always got to look at the house, see if it's the same similar house. So we've got a 1-story house. I'm pulling up the pictures. And their garage is actually a 2-car, but it's detached. So they got a bigger garage. Nice backyard. Not super updated on the interiors, just lived in, so it needs some updating. And that sold for 175. The kitchen looks clean. It kind of looks like a rental. Okay. So let's look at another comp here. 1294 Bernard. And this one actually sold for 155. No image. Let's see what the details was. Oh. 1-story, 3.1.5. It's saying here that it needed work. Price to sell. 2 days. Okay. So I'm thinking the reason why they put it at 170 was because the um, the comps that they found, one most of them they it needed a little bit of updating, but they weren't like retail style rehabs. So um, let me look at what PropStream has this one for. This one sold for 175, and this is actually a split level. So this one wouldn't. And it's a split level, and there's a detached garage based on the pictures, as you can see here. All right, so I'm going to X out of that. So that doesn't really count. So I think the reason why operations manager put it at 170 is she's getting a little bit more conservative. There's not a lot of like for like properties, but if we were to take Colby, which sold for 175, not super updated, I would be okay with comping this out at 170 from a more conservative outlook. So we're going to put 170 on the ARV. Whoops, so many things happening here. 170. We're thinking this would rent out for $1,295. Property taxes are $1,453.04. $1,453. Our buy price is $110. Here's some explanation on this deal calculator. The interest rate is 10% because that's typically what we're borrowing our money. And then you have a spot here for a flip rehab. We're looking at this from more of a turnkey or a rental rehab. So we have it under here as an RTO rehab. We have here, let's see if we can pay ourselves $10,000 for an assignment fee, factoring 10% vacancy and maintenance, and a rehab about 10K, but they're saying it's 20. So let's just put their numbers in here. Let me X out of this. And let's see what it comes up with if it's a deal or no deal. Insurance, our average insurance is about $600 a year. These two numbers don't really reflect our numbers too much because we're just putting in what we would typically collect on a rent-to-own option down payment. So what's pulling up is on a pre-refi monthly cash flow, we are in the negative. Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
That's like with the private money rate of what, 10, 12%?
Yeah, 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Loan to value is about 82%. So let's see if we can mess with these numbers.
There you go. Exactly. So not every deal you can really pay yourself on. Well, 50,000 would be nice, but so now, and we're okay because we built a portfolio and we flip enough houses to where it's like we're not, even if to make a deal work, if it can add a cash flow stream, it's okay if you don't pay yourself on a deal. Don't kill the golden goose over a deal. We've learned these lessons. It's like, don't sacrifice cash flow for life over a small amount of cash today.
Yeah. So in the beginning, guys, when you're building this, it's all about getting the really good deals. So if I was to buy this, I mean, we're still in contract. Like we could always negotiate a lower rate, but we're going to get this property inspected, and that's a good thing for us because then we could probably go back to the seller and get a better discount. But as it stands, we can't really pay ourselves $5,000 or $10,000. So let's just say we didn't pay ourselves, If we didn't pay ourselves, we're still looking at a loan to value of about 76. So as it stands, this deal with a 20K anticipated rehab doesn't fit our model. It doesn't, because we still got to fix this up. And we can't, what I recommend is not put lipstick on a pig, because you're going to have to pay for it later. If it's not going to appraise, then you're working backwards. So what I do like about this one is that it doesn't need too much work based on our rep's inspection. So we haven't even looked at that, but we can take a quick look. We have history of buying in the street in this area. And we can quickly look at, we're pretty good now at just taking a look at pictures and determining what level of rehab we're going to do. So, from the looks of this kitchen right here, we're going to put LVP flooring. And these cabinets, if they are salvageable, they need a new paint job, right? They need a new paint job and new hardware. And depending on where we're at with the countertops, we might have to replace it with countertops. Do we put granite? No, we don't, but we're going to put something that's very durable and will last us for 10, 15 to 20 years. Probably needs new appliances. So I like what I see so far. Are you noticing anything on here, Dave?
I see. I think where my mind goes is I think we can get the rehab done for less than 20. We've been bringing on some new rehab crews, still get it to appraise, and make it an even sweeter deal.
So why we like deals like this is that all it really needs is a cosmetic rehab.
Yeah,
it's not a gut job.
Structural rehab. We're not doing that stuff. That's what we always recommend to our followers and students and people we consult with, is like, look, especially when you're first getting started, don't get bogged down with these monstrous rehabs. Sure, it looks cool on HGTV, but we're not in it to be rich, or we're not in it to be cool. We're in it to be rich, right, RJ?
Yeah. Yep. Gotta get the ego out of the way here. I like that it's brick too.
I love this house. I think it's a great house. And you know what I'm noticing, and this is new information here, because RJ and I have a call with a banker today. And, we always want to be all in for 75%. Well, we own a number of homes that we're all in for 50% on. They're lower end homes and whatnot. Well, we can bundle the lower end homes with the higher end homes and then get a blended all in less than 75%. For instance, we own some stuff in a very nice suburb of Columbus called Westerville, in a great part of town. And if we, the DSCR, the debt service coverage ratio, does not make sense on that deal, because the ARV on that particular deal is like 350 and it's rented for, I believe, $1,300 a month, So when the bank looks at that deal, they say, hey, I'm not giving you 75% of 350, I'm not giving you all that money, because the rent does not justify giving you 75% of 350. Well, Mr. Banker, what if we add in here a bunch of these smaller properties that are rented for $1,000 and we're only looking for like a $50,000 loan? That means like the rent far surpasses the loan amount in the eyes of the bank. And you mix these properties together. So you got the expensive property that's not rented for that much. And then you mix it with these lower end properties that are rented for a premium. And now you can get the full refi, the full 75% of that expensive properties if you add in lower end properties to help out bring that debt service coverage ratio where it needs to be. I know I'm being confusing because this is actually my first time ever explaining it. I'll get better at it as we go, but hopefully that made sense.
Awesome. Made sense to me, but for you guys that just heard that and you have questions, make sure you put your questions in the comments, and we'll get to your questions. So Dave mentioned in the beginning that we do look at Zillow for rental comps, and then also just at a glance quick comps, and we also use PropStream, but we also use Rentometer to take a look at what we could rent it for. And so they're saying that the average is $947. Zillow is saying that it's $1195. So what we typically will do also is take a look at internal comps in our company to see what we've actually rented properties for in that area. In Westfall, we just got it rented for the one that we have on Westfall. Let me look for it. There we go. That one we have a rent to own buyer. There we go. 344 Westfall. Cool. So and here's why. So if you guys take a look at this sheet, this is all the homes we've purchased in our career so far. All right, I'll kind of zoom out. This is why we take internal comps, write them down or put them in this Google map. And I highly recommend you do this because it gives you a history of what you can rent properties for. So actually, in reality, this one in 344 Westfall, we rented for $1,250. So let's compare it to our deal. Gotcha. So the one on Westfall is a 344 Westfall, the one that we bought in 2019. It's got, it does have a basement and a 1-car garage. So I feel like we potentially could get this one rented closer to that mark. And let's see what the characteristics are. I think we have a basement here. Let's see here. Basement, it's a ranch. Yeah, we have a full basement here. So good news, we could probably rent this out for closer to $1,250 or even $1,300. Why? Because it's a brick home. We have more bathrooms here. We have a half bath. So I think based on some new info, we can probably get closer to $1,300 in rent here. Do a nice rehab. That actually puts us now into a closer of a higher cash flow point and an LTV of 70%. So Dave, after looking at this, would you, so our cash flow isn't strong
now. It will be though, you know, and you always need to look at your own personal situation. RJ and I built a portfolio over the past, 8 years where we can take on these deals, even though it's not a lot of cash flow now, because as I was mentioning, we can bundle this together with other assets that we have and get a 3.5% loan on this thing. It's going to cash flow like a sieve. So that's my new term, by the way, everyone. Cash flow like a sieve. Right? What is a sieve? It's like a spigot that just keeps dripping, cash flow. I like the visual on that. But yeah, I mean, I'm open to doing this deal, quite honestly, because we got the private money for it. It's a great area, great upside, a good wealth builder. Sure, it doesn't make a lot of cash flow, today, especially with a private money loan on it. But we're going to be able to slap good financing on that. And like we encourage all of our listeners, followers, and students and people we consult with is take advantage of that low interest, long-term money. It's the number one hedge against inflation. This house is going to be worth, I'm not kidding either. I had a call with a very smart individual, one of RJ and I's good friends yesterday, and he's very much into economics as I am. And I'm actually posting right now about how urban multifamily real estate is imploding, which we predicted as soon as the pandemic happened. But he is very confident, and so am I, and so are we, that so is John Burns, the nationally acclaimed economist, and he consults with the biggest builders in the USA. Affordable single-family housing is the number one asset class for the next decade, hands down. I will put $1 million on that bet. There's no other real estate asset class that can mess with single family affordable housing. It's evaporating. The demand is so high, it's not going anywhere. So, I mean, if we chose to, we'll never sell it. We're going to be putting this one in Leonie's name, probably, we'll give it to her. But this house will be worth $350,000 here in 10 years. Watch. It's just crazy. It's just ridiculous. We got to hang on to all these assets because this is the game, everybody. Flipping is fun, but you're always going to be chasing the next deal if that's all you do is flip, right?
Yep, absolutely. I got one last thing here, and I listened to a guy. I follow a person who I think would be a good mentor for us, but he's been buying and holding for a long time, and this is what he said: is that you know, be careful who you hang out with, right? So if you're hanging out with guys that are doing 100 or 200 flips, 300 flips a year, right, and they're not really holding on to assets, but they're flipping a lot and they're getting a lot of profit, that's good and all. But if your end goal is to have, your lifestyle right, your freedom right, and a lot of monthly cash flow coming in, hang out with guys that have portfolios that have 100, 200, 300 and more units, because the conversations are different. When you hang out with guys that do all those flips, the conversations are, oh, I did 200 flips, right? Like, did you flip any homes? Conversations are going to be different. Then here's why. Like, you're going to be spinning your wheels if you consistently just flip homes. When you wake up and you're 50 years old, you still have a job.
That's a nightmare. That's not a dream come true. That's the nightmare of a lifetime.
You're just, we're out
of this business. You'll never see me again.
You wake up and you're like, what did I do? What did I create? You just basically created another new rat race for you. And you got all this staff and all this overhead.
I know.
And so that really spoke to me.
You created the biggest, shiniest hamster wheel on the block.
Biggest
hamster real proud.
So continue to follow us if you found value in this. I think this is going to be a deal. Now, this will be a deal for us because we know our cash flow tolerance, right? I think we can still go back and negotiate a little bit with the seller to get a slightly better deal. Because if we got it for 100,000, then our loan to value is at 64, and then we could probably mess with these numbers and give ourselves an acquisition fee, 3 to 4 or 5K. It's not going to mess with our loan to value. So the lesson here is that yes, as it stands, we're going to make this deal work, but our cash flow tolerance it's different from yours. We've got 130 rentals now, so we've got cash flow coming in. In the beginning, we would have to what we teach you about keeping the loan to value, paying yourselves a little bit of an assignment fee, because that's going to keep you afloat. That's going to keep your lights on. That's going to pay your acquisition company. And trust me from experience, when the dust settles and you're looking at your net profit, if you haven't paid your acquisition company and you can't put out any marketing and you're in trouble, don't get into that trap. So hang out, subscribe, give us a comment. That link is down in the, I'm pretty sure it's down in the bottom of this video for PropStream. Check this out. And Dave, do you have anything else before we sign off?
Nope. Stick to real estate, make that your bread and butter, and let's help you build a nice foundation. And then we can talk about other streams of income, but real estate is the king snake right now, everybody. Make that money. Let's get rich.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.